how Iran's regime cut communications. It goes a little further than that, though. It's now in their second week. That, in and of itself, from Iran is worth noting. Now, President Trump, he warned Tehran about killing protesters. So, just remember the facts. Internet cut off, phone access nationwide as the protests intensified. Demonstrations over there are active in more than 100 cities, including Tehran, Isfahan, Mashhad, and western provinces of the country. At least 44, as we said earlier, killed. Thousands, by the way, are also arrested. So nothing screams democracy more than arresting protesters. Sorry, Q has a rib issue right now, and I'm making him laugh. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. We have to. It's Friday. Now, as you recall, a lot of inflation over there. That's kind of when the unrest began. Currency is at pretty much monopoly money. A lot of charges, to say the least, on basic needs. Opposition groups report general strikes, burned buildings, government buildings at that, also destroyed regime symbols. And Trump comes in pretty hard, says that he warned Iran publicly, hey, you're going to have consequences tied to killing all these protesters. So that's what the president said. Now, a few thoughts on this. I'm sure a lot of folks do. I don't shrug at people being killed in the streets. I don't think you do either. I don't think many people do. I don't think people take this lightly that protesters in a sovereign country are getting killed, because that matters. Now, at the same time, I'm just going to say it. America does not exist to manage every government on the planet. I mean, we have learned through blood and money what happens when moral outrage replaces strategy, especially in foreign diplomacy. So the real question is more practical. I think it's completely practical. What does this mean for us? You have Tehran over there in Iran, the capital, saying, hey, this is no big deal. It's what we do. No, they're not ignoring that. But they killed 44 people. But what does all this mean to us? Why would the president even want to opine on that other than maybe some optics? But Iran sits at the center of terrorism financing. Just some things that we need to remember about this place. It also sits at the center of regional instability. Sits at the center of a lot. Oil markets, shipping lanes. Do not discredit that. Like when pressure builds inside that regime, it does not stay contained. History shows that stress. Think about it. What does stress inside Iran do? What does history tell us? It gets exported through proxies. That's what Iran starts doing. They start making the threats. They start disrupting. And I believe that is probably more so why this is on the United States radar. I mean, look, the internet shutdown tells you the regime feels exposed. I mean, they wouldn't shut that down. I mean, the entire internet and phone lines are down. Cutting communication blocks coordination. Think about it. Hides violence. That move shows up when government feels momentum slipping, when that type of regime does. And I believe that's where Trump's posture enters the picture. And look, I think a lot of us also can understand the instinct behind signaling consequences. I think that would be a natural instinct. Okay, yeah, that's horrible. The just absolute horrible what's going on. But at the same time, we can't support treating internal repression as a default U.S. trigger. Plenty of regimes out there committing atrocities. I'm just saying, plenty of them. There's not a shortage of them. America can't respond to all of them without losing coherence. God gives us 24 hours a day and one big old globe. The line stays at interest. That's the responsible thing to do. It can't, that trigger line can't be outrage. It can't be that. I mean, look, if instability inside Iran starts hitting shipping lanes, when it starts affecting energy supply, energy prices, how about that? Just forget the supply, prices. Terror networks, come on. Allies, like that becomes our problem. And it becomes our problem pretty quick. I mean, look, if it stays internal, it stays observed, not owned. That's the way you have to look at it. And I believe that is a responsible position. I mean, look, watch closely. Measure the risk. Keep the leverage. Trump's good at that. But avoid getting dragged into moral theater that turns into strategic failure. I mean, Iran is unstable. The regime feels the pressure. What matters next is whether that pressure spills outward. And that's kind of what we're watching. And that's what we should be watching for. So in that aspect, I appreciate the president's approach. But I hope that is the approach, because we've seen what has happened when we went the other way. Got to have a plan. All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to cover. Let's go. Do you know the ACA? They had some action on that. We might want to talk about it.
With the Republican House?
I think so. All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. No, I like it because I can see, but you guys can't see this, but the camera angle, it's pointing like that way. Isn't that crazy?
That is great.
Oh, it'll do that.
And it looks good on the screen on TikTok.
Let's see here. But anyway, guys, we have a 2-hour show, but we go live. Yeah. I mean,
I had to double check.
I like it.
The angle did look off from this
Wait,
side too.
If you guys, if y'all saw this, it's like, hey, it works. But anywho, we'll go live at 3. We'll go live at 4, and we appreciate you guys sticking around. Are we at audio on Rumble?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rumble, X, all the folks, man, let's get live on that chat. We're so quiet today. But it's Friday. We're going to take a tiny little break, guys. When we come back in here, we're going to talk about the ACA. That's the Affordable Care Act.
Unaffordable.
Yeah. The UACA.
Yeah.
But yeah, these I keep hearing we have a majority.
Same, and it's just, man, the budget's not cut; it's growing. We got that. We got ACA extensions.
Anywho, hey, I got to check on something real quick. We're going to take a tiny little break. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Broadcasting live on rumble.com, on X at Josh Guillory USA, and from the KPL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Jenny7788, good afternoon. Thanks for kicking us off in the chat over there at rumble.com. Certainly appreciate that. Let's go. Also, guys, this segment brought to you by my friends over there at CSafe, csafe.com, SEA, just like the ocean. Go check them out. All right. So the Affordable Care Act, what was it? The
unaffordable?
the UACA. Obamacare. Well, it's in the news. We covered a little bit of it yesterday. Kind of interesting. Kind of some history stuff going on procedurally. All right, so the House, the Republican House, just passed a 3-year extension of Obamacare subsidies in a bipartisan vote. Now, there's a ton of things that we could find common ground on.
Yep. To the ACA extension, not the common ground.
You're right. But man, this is not one. There was no reform or anything, and it passed with, in this case, 17. But we'll cover it. But yesterday they just needed 4 to get to where they needed to get 5. I'm sorry, and they got the 5. But yeah, so the House earlier passed the extension, Obamacare subsidies, 3 years, and that's that's a bill that will have to go to the Senate, where it is expected to stall, but it is reigniting some negotiations behind the scenes. A lot of negotiators from the Senate and the House talking right now, seeing how they can reconcile. So let's go over a few little facts, might help us out. All right, the House passed the bill 230 to 196. 17 Republicans joined every single Democrat. That should tell you something, to extend the ACA tax credits for 3 years, the subsidies, okay? The subsidies, by the way, were created on a temporary basis. They were created during COVID under President Biden. They expired last year, December 31st. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, they estimate the extension would cost around $80 billion, would it be? $80 billion. In the grand scheme of things, in that budget, I mean, it's not horrible. But still, reforms are needed across the government, across everything. But Speaker Johnson opposed the bill, but he ended up losing control of the floor, literally, through a rare discharge petition. We've talked about that a lot. The Senate rejected the same 3-year extension just last month. So where do you think this is going? And why, Republicans, would you put your own party in this position? Why would you do that right before a midterm election? Because from a policy standpoint, it is not passing the Senate, period. Not as written. So why would you do that politically? If you know it's not going to help you, it can only hurt you, why would you do that? Selfishness. Because you want to be, very, you're above that. You're learned. No, they're not learned. They're elites. And they want to get invited to the elite clubs because they know more than us stupid peasants do as they sit on their little ivory tower. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has signaled the House bill will not move as written. He said that last month. And he said it again. So again, there are some bipartisan talks. That's great. They're underway. And it's now what the Senate, what I'm hearing and what I'm reading actually, is the Senate has underway a shorter 2-year extension, but with reforms. And these reforms are very, very common sense and would help Americans across the board. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. They include things like income caps. Remember, these are for the most vulnerable of the vulnerable in our country. People that were in need during COVID when the government was screwing their economy. Just saying. So the government broke it. The government had to fix it. They said it'll take us 3 years. It expired December 31st. We had no plan to address it. Those are facts. But there's talks right now. And perhaps this is what needed to happen. So the Senate's discussing this 2-year reform, but that, like I said, it has income caps, minimum premiums. It has some fraud controls built into it. Health savings accounts, they're not just like suggested. They're real options in here with some real teeth. Now, abortion seems to be the big sticky point. Specifically, taxpayer dollars paying for it. Interestingly enough, President Trump has urged Republicans to be flexible. Just be flexible, get it done. Man just wants a deal.
Yep.
It's a deal maker. So, I think this vote tells us something important about Washington. And we see it over and over, but this is just a great reminder for us. Temporary programs never stay temporary. Look at what we are even discussing. A temporary program made by a political opportunist at the time that was set to expire, rightfully so, 3 years, December 31st of last year. Now, my beef with my own party is we've been in office for a year and we have no recommended solution. I see one now. But we should have been talking about that in February. Give yourself 10 or 11 days to, fix the border. But then February, we should have been talking about it, Because there's some easy wins here. Very easy wins. In the Senate, also Republican-led. I wonder if those House Republicans know that. And it's usually, and House Republicans, what's up? This is not your play. That's a Senate card. The Rhino card is the Senate card. We don't usually see that in the House. What's up with that? I mean, we see it, but not on these real man. I just even it's dead on arrival at the Senate. So politically, why would you screw your party? Why would you screw your country when you have a slim majority here? I mean, a slim majority. And Louisiana Republicans didn't make it any easier, as we know. Can we, there's trade deadlines in the NFL and the NBA and baseball, Major League Baseball. I wonder if there could be a trade deadline. Can we trade some of our Republican legislators for maybe Texas's legislators and maybe some Florida, the ones that are actually using the process to gain? It's political now. The census is no longer apolitical. So that's the battlefield. Okay. It's not illegal. It's just stupid to do it this way, but this is what we're doing. But at least the Republican legislators in those states actually add Republican congressional seats. I mean, if the rules change, they didn't just say, hey, how do you even justify going to Baton Rouge at this point? I mean,
Right.
it's going to be embarrassing at some point when you look back and say, we still haven't, right now, you really could fix it right now. There's nothing, you could do it. The legislature could call a special session if you wanted to. And then you could pass it with a supermajority. You have one. You can make it veto proof. Everybody would win. The governor could go fight for Cleo. Cleo can fight for equality. The Republicans could represent the voice of the majority of the state. Everybody wins. I just don't know why we're not doing it. There is a process. Bill, Capitol Hill. Walk it through. Jeez, man. But anywho, let's take a tiny little break. When we get back, man, my favorite part of the whole show, 232-1542, 844-766-6607. And I can't wait to hear from you. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Hey guys, when strength matters, when custom matters, when failure's not an option, C-Safe delivers. Man, C-Safe FRP products are engineered to resist corrosion, reduce maintenance, and outlast the competition in the harshest environments, from offshore platforms to wastewater treatment plants and everywhere in between. You know my boys and gals at C-Safe are going to deliver. Their products are American-made. They're manufactured right here in Acadiana by American workers. Check them out, csafe.com, S-E-A, just like the ocean, csafe.com. So we're talking about the ACA COVID subsidies. That's what they are. And the House, thanks to 17 Republicans, very Republican, very conservative, just said, oh, we don't need any checks and balances. We don't need safeguards. Just here you go. And it has very little to do with the recipients. It's all to do with all the other things that go along with it. All right, but the phone lines are open, and I can't wait. 232-1542, 844-766-6607. Who we going to?
Renee.
Renee, what's up, Renee?
Renee?
All right, let's go to Mr. Bobby. All right, Mr. Bobby, what you got? On the board. All right, we'll get that in the break. Okay, so we're talking about the ACA subsidies, and they were voted on to extend for 3 years. Here's the deal. Republicans in all this, we are right to be skeptical. Sending tens of billions straight into insurance markets without tight rules, that invites waste and distortion. I mean, look, these $0 premiums, they create fake affordability. It's very, very misleading. Very, very, very misleading. Auto enrollment. You want to talk about a vehicle for fraud. Unlimited eligibility. That turns subsidies, all of what we're talking about, into another open-ended entitlement pathway. Open-ended. Those are real problems. Now, my Democrat friends, you're also right about one thing. Millions of people built their household budgets, like real Americans built their budgets around a promise Washington made. When that promise disappears overnight, political fallout kind of lands hard. And it lands right where people feel it the most. Like right in their budget, right in their personal budget. That's why we as a country, we lose when we pretend healthcare will just solve itself. I already said, and we say it again, and it's worth saying again. We ask the wrong question when it comes to healthcare. We ask, why does it cost? Or we ask, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Is the government going to pay for it? Are you going to pay for it? Is companies going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? And we should be asking, why does it cost so much? And there's a lot of things that go into that. And manufacturing, by the way, is one of them. And we got some big wins, tariff-wise, You got it squared away? All right. Let's try it again. Renee, what you got, Renee? Try it again. Yep. All right. Audio issue, guys, with the phone lines. It's okay. It happens. It's live. But this is why we lose as a country, again, when we just think it'll solve itself. Obamacare was opposed, but it was never replaced. We talked a good game. We had a president that was saying, send me a repeal and replace. President Trump over and over for 2 years straight, but it was never reformed. They had a few little, what they'll call reforms, but generally speaking, it wasn't replaced when you had the power to do it. It's different times now. The battlefield's changed. The environment's changed. So now, though, instead of giving those reforms, instead of doing what the voters asked them to do collectively across the spectrum, it keeps expanding by default, while we as Republicans are arguing about process, stupid process. How about this? Help real people. You have no problems wasting the money. Like, if you had to choose, stop some of the other wasteful spending, fund this, and figure it out. But you had a year. We had a year. We had more than that. Should have had it on the shelf. Just like the repeal and replace. Like, man, I was expecting. I mean, when they were sworn in, was it on the 3rd? Okay, you got it, because President Obama was still the president. They're not going to drop it there. Maybe they'll tease it in committee or something. I was thinking January 20th at 12:01, it was going to be dropped. Maybe January 21st. No, 2 years later, we should really repeal and replace Obamacare. Wow, never replaced. So discharge petitions, historically, from a historical context, not rebellion for sport. They happen when leadership avoids issues voters actually feel. Think about it. Healthcare premiums, we're not talking about something abstract. They show up every month. It is in people's face. So when leaders avoid issues that do that, and leaders in political office, when they ignore those issues that are not, like I said, just pie in the sky, that will resonate. In the Senate, I'm digging the Senate, man. Senate framework matters, and it matters more than the House bill right now. A charter extension with income limits, with minimum premiums, with fraud controls, with consumer-directed options, all of that moves policy in the right direction. So I did my little rant on fussing, but we're here now, and I applaud the Senate. They bring in solutions, because that approach that they're talking about, it tightens spending while avoiding shock therapy for families. But this is not a win for Obamacare either. It really isn't. I mean, look, it's an admission. It's an admission that ignoring health care leaves conservatives boxed in later. We had the opportunity. Now we're here. Seems like we have another opportunity. This is good. We might walk out of this as a country good and as a party good. But if Republicans want credibility on health care, we have to govern on it. Jeez. And when we do, it means discipline. It means reforms. Honesty about trade-offs. Don't sugarcoat it. Look in the mirror. So the Senate is at least trying to do that from what it appears. I also know a senator in the Senate that found supposedly $2.1 trillion, and she don't know how to drop a damn bill to do that, but she can drop a bill to do egg labeling. Talking about my friend Joni Ernst from Iowa. But a little Friday truth for you, Q-Dog. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
I got a lot of them today, if we get to them. Emergency policy keeps becoming permanent because nobody finishes the job.
Amen.
Think about it. Until that changes, votes like we see going to keep on coming, and really whoever's not in charge is going to have all these great ideas.
I agree.
All right, guys, stick around. We're going to take a tiny little break. I think we might have this phone thing figured out. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Also broadcasting live with my friends over there at rumble.com. Go check us out at my X page at Josh Guillory USA. But I want to see you over there at the mothership, Rumble. Rumble.com. Look up the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my friends over there at Stan's Auto. My wife should be there right about now with our daughter's vehicle. There you go. See, I'm telling you, I love those guys. They are honest. Okay, so Oregon. What the heck? And ICE. When I read this story, I was like, golly. So 2 days, 2 cities, 2 separate instances where people were involved in vehicles as weapons against federal immigration agents. So, put that in context, because that matters as we talk about what happened over there in Portland, Oregon, where 2 folks, Tran de Aragua gang members, were shot. And I believe they were married, if I'm not mistaken. Weren't they?
I'm not yeah, they were.
I think so. Yeah. So they were shot after trying to run over ICE agents. That's according to Homeland Security officials and reporting from the New York Post. Those are the 2 sources I'm relying on. So based on those 2 sources, the suspects are Luis David Nico Mancata and Yorlins Betsabus Zambrano Contreras, a married couple. See? Both entered the United States illegally and were released into the country under the Biden administration. Mancata entered in 2022, has a final order of removal, and was later arrested for drunk driving and unauthorized use of a vehicle. Zambrano Contreras, she entered in 2023, and she is linked by DHS to that gang we talked about, Tran de Aragua, prostitution ring, and a prior shooting in Portland. So she's been a busy little bee. Federal agents conducted a traffic stop. They identified themselves. DHS says the driver attempted to run over agents by weaponizing the vehicle. A Border Patrol agent fired in self-defense. Both suspects survived and later called police for help. So, all right. Now, this is no longer an isolated incident, it appears. As we mentioned earlier this week in Minneapolis, you may recall a woman was shot during an ICE operation. That's still, facts are still unfolding over there. You got multiple videos. At least what DHS put out, it definitely looked like the vehicle was weaponized to run over ICE agents. You look at other outlets in the video at a different angle, and it looks like she was fleeing. So, hey, the story, it will unfold. Does look like there's a lot of video footage, so seems like the facts should be able to be massaged out in that situation. Portland, though, I think it's a little different in one key respect. These suspects have documented. I mean, I'm just saying, just one thing that stands out. These particular folks have documented, not suspected, documented criminal histories and known gang ties. So it's a little different. That distinction matters. Because we're not talking optics, if you think about it. It's really more of a cause and effect. A little cause, a little effect. So, violent criminals. When violent criminals are released into the interior of the country, law enforcement becomes the last line of defense. And that can be straining. Encounters that should never happen start happening more often. Look what we're seeing. Traffic stops turn into life or death moments. Vehicles turn into weapons. Tran de Aragua is not a buzzword. It is an international criminal organization tied to human trafficking. It drugs. It has organized violence. They're not winning the Nobel Peace Prize, I don't think. Releasing people connected to that network right into American cities creates predictable outcomes. It should have never happened. This was very predictable. This confrontation didn't even begin on a Portland street. It began at the border with the decision to release instead of remove. Again, but for them being here illegally. Would this have happened? No, it literally is impossible if they're not here. Federal agents did their jobs. They identified themselves. From what the reports show, they attempted enforcement. They faced an immediate threat from what DHS and the New York Post put out. They responded to protect their lives, it appears. But that is what enforcement looks like in the real world. Not in some press conference or some school book or talking point, or this is what they taught me in the academy. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Washington seems to continue to avoid policy choices upstream, former president, create danger downstream. When the system fails to remove violent offenders, at least them, law enforcement, those guys that put their lives on the line, they're the ones that inherit the risk. So it's real easy for you to say your little sanctuary policies and everybody's welcome no matter what you come from and no matter what your background is, no matter what criminal activity, no matter what disease or anything you're bringing in. You just come on right in, no checks and balances at all. It's our law enforcement officers. They're the ones, and at the local level, that are they bear the brunt. And in these sanctuary cultures that you're seeing in Oregon and in parts of Minnesota, if not the whole dang state, that's communities inheriting the consequences. The burden falls on the officers. The true consequences bleed over to the constituents and the communities. I know this audience knows that, but boy, that was something. Just had to be reminded of those policies, didn't we? Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to take a tiny little break. Hour number 2. Ooh, man. Let's talk about Portland some more, shall we? A little different angle. Be right back. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Josh Guillory Show. I remain your grateful host, and in studio with me still, Q Money Magic Man. What's up, Q?
Oh, I'm enjoying this beautiful rain today.
This man is a professional. If you knew how much pain he's in right now. All right. Oh, but hey, guess what? It's Friday. Kill Switch. Kill Switch, where you at? By popular demand, it is JJWJ. Just joking with Janet. It is Janet. What is up, Janet? Bring the heat, baby.
That's you, Josh. You're up. Okay. This morning I saw 3 people jogging outside.
All right.
It inspired me to get up and close the blinds.
Janet, I'm glad these are on podcast too, because they're recorded, so we can always go back in case you miss it. But that was a good one. You got another one?
I do.
Yes, I told her. I said bring 2 because we hadn't had you in a while. All right, this is Miss Janet.
Some people just won't admit their faults. I don't understand it. I mean, I would if I had any.
Yeah, it sounds like that could be a very accurate conversation in my household. I will let you insert the characters.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janet.
All right.
The sweetest lady in this building right here, Miss Janet. Oh, there you go. Blinded by the light. What? Ooh, you're getting good. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you,
WW. Just joking with Janet. JJWJ. There you go. Get the T-shirts ready, my people. All right, guys, had a little phone issues there last hour. We may have some phone issues this hour, too. We're going to try to open them up again next. Oh, we're good? Oh, we're off. Yeah, we don't have the phones up today, guys. Sorry. But we are live, broadcasting from the KPL studios. Appreciate you guys. Look at us over there at Rumble, all the things. All right. Okay, so last segment, we had talked about, what happened in Portland when the 2 gang members, okay, that are illegal aliens. They were here. They let go under the Biden administration, all the things, use the vehicle as a weapon. The next piece, though, is what followed after, and that is very important. So, according to a Fox News article, some reporting by Michael Dorgan, agitators flooded the streets near a Portland ICE facility just hours after that shooting we just talked about. Clashed with police late into the night. Just, a normal day in Portland. This is how we discuss our issues. Jeez. All right, so this is what happened. Crowds gathered near the near an ICE building in Portland following the shooting that involved the 2 gang members, okay? Police in riot gear moved in after demonstrators blocked streets, ignored repeated orders to clear traffic lanes, the typical peaceful protester. 6 people were arrested last night on charges, including riot, disorderly conduct, and interfering with a peace officer. Authorities over there say total arrests tied to anti-ICE demonstrations in Portland have now reached 79. The Department of Homeland Security says the earlier shooting occurred after the driver attempted to run over agents. Recall, we just talked about that. Portland Mayor Keith Wilson called on ICE to halt all operations in the city, pending an independent investigation. Halt all operations. Mayor, jeez. Why don't we, all right, for every dumb thing you say about halting, we got to halt a welfare program. So for every ICE agent over there that you pause, we got to pause somebody in your handouts. Just saying. The mayor publicly stated that federal officials can no longer be trusted at their word. Oh boy, very, very responsible with your words, Mayor. Very responsible. But look, guys, we know this is all predictable. What we talked about the last segment was all predictable. What do we expect? When federal agents are attacked, the narrative somehow magically immediately shifts away from the act itself. Think about this. And then somehow starts shifting towards delegitimizing enforcement. And then going as far as attacking the officers, the character, and things like that. The facts stop mattering. Like there's facts, undisputed statements. The process that is really, if you have the process right, like an efficient process, then that is where trust comes from, because it's plug and play with the personalities as long as the process is fair and consistent and doesn't have favorites. The crowd all of a sudden, and it's the loud crowd, not the majority. The loud crowd becomes the judge. This is what we see in these sanctuary cultures, in this cult, this government cult, this protest culture cult. This is permission culture. When local leaders tell the public, I'm like, let's sit this in. When local leaders, when they tell the public that federal law enforcement can't be trusted, they create space for confrontation. We talked about this with Governor Hochul in New York. Same thing. Look, when you're in office, you don't have certain luxuries, and your words matter. But when you start treating these federal law enforcement officers who are trying to protect your community, all of that space gets filled by these little agitators. Definitely not peacekeepers. I never understood that either. We're going to go seek peace by burning things down and violence and all this stuff. But the pattern is noticeable. Very noticeable. Agents enforce the law, a confrontation happens, facts are still being reviewed, city leaders rush microphones and demand enforcement stop, crowds show up that same night, streets get blocked, police get shoved, arrests follow. None of this is organic outrage. All of this is conditioned response. Calling for ICE to halt operations, Mayor, that is not leadership, that is abdication. Just give it on up. Federal law does not pause because a mayor is uncomfortable with it. Immigration enforcement is not optional based on your city's politics, or city politics at that. But we'll take a tiny little break. We come back, we'll talk about a little hard truth, man. We don't have to have that. It's Friday. We'll keep it real. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. Good?
Good.
What's up, my Rumble peeps? All my peeps over there at X, at Josh Guillory USA, YouTube, Robert D. Benoit, I got you. I think Q turned her up at the end.
I did activate the microphone towards the end.
Oh, yeah. He activated. I'm glad she said 2 jokes.
Me too. Because I was going to ask her.
Wait,
I was going to ask her to
hear
repeat the first one.
Maybe a little bit of it picked up on my mic, but RDB saying not. Hey, look, guys, we're on a tiny little commercial break. Certainly appreciate everybody. We'll stay on this topic for a little bit longer. This is just silly at this point, you know?
It really is.
I mean, these guys, and here's the thing. Do they watch TV?
Exactly.
I mean, do you not see what's going on?
And why are you continuing to throw gasoline on it?
Right.
Like, leaders call for peace, calm, restraint.
Yes.
Not take to the streets and burn down the city that we live in.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Kill switch. Did you see Miss Janet earlier? I gave you a shout out. Miss Janet came on. JJWJ. Janet in the hizzy today. Q, hey guys, by the way, we got a merchandise store. We need to get JJWJ. Put Janet's face on it. Come on.
ADD moment, but I thought about taking the picture of Maduro in the helicopter holding the water bottle. And my teenage years, I played a video game that would display the term busted or wasted, depending on what your actions were in the game,
Okay.
and just have busted across the front of it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you could do that. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I didn't say it would look pretty.
Well, that's your job.
True.
Nah, this ain't no job. You think this is a job? I don't think this is a job.
Nah,
This is fun.
I agree.
Like we get to do this.
I agree.
You know. Anywho, hey, look, I like keeping the commercial break on, mic on. You can see behind the scenes, all that stuff. You know, when we can, sometimes I gotta take care of business. I do actually have a job, and I love that job too.
See, today the TikTok cam is flipped with the ring light, so we're not getting that angle perfectly.
Wait, what happened?
Well, normally,
Oh yeah. The with the back, yeah. We had Janet on. Yeah, Kill Switch. He said, "Sorry, I was working. I watched for Miss Janet on Rumble replay." All right, cool. Yeah, she's in segment 1, hour 2, so the 5th segment.
Yeah.
Cool. Any plans for the weekend, my peeps? As we wait for this commercial break, we got about 55 seconds left until we go into off a commercial break. Any plans? RDB, what you cooking?
I think I'm gonna be icing ribs all weekend.
This poor fella, man. How'd you break your rib this time?
I had to change the alternator in addition to the battery.
So when you told me earlier, that was a single event.
Yes.
Oh gosh. So then you had to finish it with the broken rib.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I was a very jolly person. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, you're a jolly person right now. Guys, y'all can't see him. He's holding his rib. I mean, this guy's a trooper, man. Holding his rib, and I'm making him laugh. Oh, poor fella. All right, stick around, guys. We'll be right back in about 15 seconds. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. Always happy to be in your living room or wherever you're streaming this very, very exciting show. Hey, it's Friday. Exciting. There's a lot to be excited for. Let me tell you about my friends at C-Safe real quick, though. When strength matters, when custom matters, when failure not an option, you know who to call. Reliable. C-Safe delivers. C-Safe FRP products, they are engineered to resist corrosion, reduce maintenance, outlast the competition in the harshest environments, from offshore platforms to wastewater treatment plants, everywhere in between. Call my peeps over there at C-Safe. Their products are American made. They're manufactured right here in Acadiana by American workers. C-Safe. Check them out. csafe.com. SEA, just like the ocean. Now, a few little hard truths. My man, sorry about that. So we're talking about the aftermath. You know, when the grown-ups come out. Kidding. But when violent criminals, hard truth, when violent criminals are released and enforcement follows later, we know the confrontation does not start with ICE. It starts with policy upstream, as we said. You know, the chaos in Portland wasn't created by the agents. Portland got chaos because officials have spent years telling the public that law enforcement itself are immoral, and enforcement itself is immoral. Why have the laws? That belief produces streets like we see in Portland and some of these other communities. But this is kind of what we get when we like that community. And think about it. When rhetoric tells people again over and over that law enforcement is the problem instead of the tool that actually keeps the order, you don't get calm. You get crowds. You get jostling. You get riot gear. You get chaos. And then Q and crew. And then the same leaders act shocked.
Right.
like, come on, man. All right. Oh, hey, that little Friday reality. Okay. You can't undermine enforcement for years and then demand calm when enforcement shows up. Can't do it. It just doesn't make sense. Man, your boy over there at the Leering Center. What? And going back to Minnesota, what's he couldn't even fix the inn. It took him 48 hours. What's up with that? All right, so the Leering Center, the Learning Center, a Minneapolis daycare, you might recall, that received nearly $2 million in public funds. Well, sad. Don't be too sad over there. They've now closed their doors. Some say it could be due to this scrutiny sparked by a viral YouTube video. Come on.
So basically the building's the same way it was 3 weeks ago.
Right. The money stopped. We think, I don't know, Ilhan Omar put in an earmark for $1.1 million to one of these charities. It wasn't this one. Charities, nonprofits. Jeez. Golly. All right, so the Quality Learning Center, just affectionately now known as the Leering Center. You know, hey, you miss one letter in the alphabet. And you know, maybe hey, you know what? We should give them a little break. Maybe they could only afford one inn at the time. That was before the tax dollars flowed in. And they just, they had other priorities than fixing their sign. So the Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis closed this week, but it did request its license be terminated. I bet. So the center received $1.9 million from Minnesota's Child Care Assistance Program in fiscal year 2025 alone. You may recall Nick Shirley, young reporter. All he did was he dropped a little YouTube video. He questioned whether several Minnesota daycares were operating while receiving public funds. Just a little video. State inspections previously found operational violations over there at Quality Learning Center, but reported no confirmed fraud. Minnesota said there was no fraud, nothing to see here. Following renewed scrutiny, though, well, the center requested closure. They said they can't reopen without reapplying for a license. They have to reapply for the license. Okay. Well, federal prosecutors, you may remember, have charged dozens of individuals in Minnesota with fraud tied to food programs, tied to autism services, tied to housing assistance for elderly and people in need. The Trump administration froze federal child care funding to Minnesota. They later moved to halt billions of more in social service fundings. Meanwhile, which was so interesting when all of this was happening, Representative Ilhan Omar, I mean, she's like totally clueless here. I'm not saying she didn't drop this earmark before everything and it just kind of like just hung around. Oh, no. Even while all this fraud is going on and is exposed, Governor Walz had already announced that he's not even running for re-election. You got people all around you that are in serious charges here. Some people have already pled. And it's like she drops a $1.1 million earmark to some of these same companies. Talk about emboldened. But she may not have a clue. I'm very genuine when I say that. She may not have a clue. They may have the perfect candidate over there, the perfect puppet candidate. She gets to go and spout out all the crazies. She's not like AOC. AOC, I believe, is her own person over there. This one, I think this lady I think she believes in what she says. but they found the perfect combination. You know, that's my take. Same thing with I'm with you on Governor Walz. You can't be that goofy in public and private. I'm with you on that. All right. Now, not every allegation we can say, and because there is some uncomfortableness here, you know, because all this does kind of live in the gray space politicians seem to hate, especially in Washington. Not every allegation's fraud. We got that. Not every investigation proves wrongdoing. Like really, it really doesn't. I would say, I don't know about most, but man, it's a fair even because think about it. Anybody can file a complaint, and then they have to take it serious. So it takes a process. They know that. They just want it for the headlines. That's it. They don't care what you do. They don't care if the person's actually guilty or not. They just need to file the complaint. But again, not all investigations prove wrongdoing. I think I might be comfortable with saying most don't, only because of the sheer volume of false complaints. But when a single sinner, this was not hard. When a single sinner receives nearly $2 million, tax dollars, and then quietly shuts its doors once scrutiny arrives and their name is misspelled and they found that, they may be embarrassed. People, it's not unfair for us to ask questions. Very fair. Very fair. Not harassment. Accountability. What you got?
I read a story where one of the daycares had someone broke in and stole the student records and financial records. And I thought to myself, what an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Clearly that's what thieves want.
Dude. All right. So Minnesota, right before we go into break, Minnesota's become ground zero, as we're seeing, for massive, massive, massive public benefit fraud cases. Now, that went pretty rampant across the country. Louisiana, I'm telling you, has its own, okay? There was plenty of examples. I mean, there was nobody watching anything for 4 years. And this, what I said about Minnesota being the ground zero for all this, that's more than an opinion at this point. It's at minimum a very gross shared opinion. That is federal court record. Like, I'm not making this up. You know, when that much money flows with weak oversight for that long, exposure becomes inevitable. I think these guys just play the long game. I don't know. It's not a game I want to play. It's not a game you want to play. It's not a game anybody really wants to play. It's just a handful of people. But, man, they just felt very emboldened for 4 years. Let's take a tiny little break. When we get back, we'll wrap a bow on this topic and so much more. Stick around. Good. All right. Hey, it's my Rumble guys. TikTok, X, all these folks, YouTube, all the above. Appreciate you. See, Vasseur, what is up? I am so happy to hear from you. All our peeps are coming back. Kill Switch. It's the New Year's. Hey, shout out to Dirty Rice, man, if he's watching. He's an active guy. He just hadn't linked up on the chat yet. Love him. Love him. Love all our folks. All right, guys, we got about 20 seconds left until the next segment starts. We're going to stick on that topic over there in Minnesota and the silliness over there. And, yeah, we gotta move on. MoveOn.org. That's the thing. All right, guys, stick around. Oh, well. Sorry. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Broadcasting live. Oh, you good. Broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Also broadcasting live on rumble.com. We certainly appreciate you. Shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. Shout out to C. Vasseur, Kill Switch, all our folks. Robert D., Jenny, all our folks over there, and to our listening audience. Certainly appreciate you. So we're talking about Minnesota. We are broadcasting live too, by the way, guys. But our phone lines are down today. Sorry about that. But we are talking about Minnesota. We're talking about the Quality Learning Center, very commonly now known as the Leering Center, as C. Vasseur has pointed out on very interesting comment, by the way, on rumble.com. Thank you. So, yeah, $1.9 million of tax dollars given to him just in 2025. Young Nick Shirley, young man, young adult, doing great things over there. Just flipped on a video. Just common sense. He was like, man, I know how to do this. I know what common sense looks like, and the best way to report it is here you go. The big I don't lie. But don't worry, Minnesota State officials said they were good. Kept giving them passes. Nothing to see here, guys. All right, so we talked about some uncomfortable situations that politicians may find themselves in these circumstances. But there is a mistake that leaders keep making here. They treat scrutiny for some reason, and maybe this is, I don't know, but they treat it as an attack instead of a responsibility. They look at these people on the far left. They treat whistleblowers as villains. They treat cops as villains. They vilify all law enforcement. They vilify ICE. They vilify the law, basically. Instead of warning signs, they treat audits as oppression. That mindset produces waste. I mean, this isn't about YouTube. It's about systems. And important systems that move money faster than they check results. That is highly, highly irresponsible. Systems that reward paperwork instead of outcomes. Let that sit in. Freezing funding is not cruelty. All it is a tiny little pause button. That's it. It forces verification. It forces reform. It forces answers. Who can argue against what we're talking about? Hey, Minnesota, my dear friends in Minnesota, if you want trust restored, it starts with transparency. It dang sure doesn't need to be cloaked in outrage. That's what we're seeing right now. You want to know the Friday truth?
What's that?
These might start to become corny. But here it is. Summary for my Minnesota folks. When public money disappears, someone notices eventually. The only question is whether leaders fix the problem or fight the messenger. A lot to think about there. Unpack that. Man, but I think you hit it on the head. there's no way that Governor Walz is that silly in private because he's that silly in public. And because I don't think Elon Omar is taken, there's no way she can be taken serious behind the scenes. There's no way. She has a great following. She has a big following, and they know that. And she's seeking, and I think she believes in what she says. You don't?
Nope.
Nope. Wow.
I think that she will do whatever is required to benefit the people around her.
Woo! See, I'm straight up just finding the good. I'm finding the good. Wow. Man, you're probably right. I'm telling you guys, hey, look, that could be perceived as a character flaw of mine. Seriously, and you got to know it for any future leaders out there. You got to know what you're good at. You got to know what you're not good at. And I'm telling you, like, even interviewing people in my office, like, I have other people around me because I will, oh, you can do that. All right, well, hey, that's a flaw. You got to know that. So I have wonderful people. Now, commanding troops, I got it. Once they're hired and they go through my basic training, they're good because I know they know. And now it's about leadership and giving clear direction and inspecting what you expect and all the things. And anybody that's worked with me is like, please stop saying it. Inspect what you want. Oh, my gosh. Anywho, hey, let's switch gears, though, a little bit. Because the Minnesota Laring Center, that was something, the Minneapolis. See, Vasseur on Rumble, she says she has some experience with it. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. All right. Refugee status over there in Minnesota. It's a changing. So the Trump administration confirmed that it is reviewing refugee status for Minnesota residents as part of a broader fraud and integrity operation. Now, this is according to an announcement from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I bet they've been busy lately. What do you think?
Maybe a couple days of overtime, one or two.
I think they've been very busy. So the USCIS, that's the organization we just talked about. They began re-examining refugees' cases back in mid-December through new background checks, through new verification procedures, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense. Because it's hard to verify everything. You got to put some checks and balances in place. And here's why it's hard to verify, because not every country uses the thorough resources or has the thorough resources or capabilities that we have. So I think it's very critical that agencies such as the USCIS always adapts with the times. Got to be flexible. But you got to change with the fight as well. So the initiative is reviewing refugees admitted during the Biden administration. Officials say roughly 200,000 refugee cases nationwide are subject to this re-interview process. And there have been several grounds that the administration has relied on. The Somali situation over there in Minnesota, not the Somali situation, but it happens to be a large Somali population that happens to be conducting these activities. Saying. But there's several reasons for that. But we're going to take a tiny little pause, guys. When we get back, we'll wrap this topic up. And, let me see you over there at the Rumble chat. Kill Switch. Come on. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live from the KPEL Studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Also broadcasting live from rumble.com. All right. And you can check us out, man. Go check us out at that. There you go. Look at Robert D. Benoit saying, go Indiana tonight. So you got Indiana and Oregon playing tonight. Big Ten rematch.
Who's projected?
I would imagine Indiana. They're undefeated, number one team in the country. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I did say that right. It is Indiana, like the football team, not the basketball team. Number one. And then last night, I don't know if you saw that game. Hey, Miami back in the national championship. The University of Miami beat the Ole Miss Rebels last night. That was a thrilling game. That almost went in. That was down to the wire.
And you know what was interesting about that? Right after, Marco Rubio actually had to go on Twitter, and I'm sorry, X now, formerly Twitter, and dispel some rumors that he was going to go to the Dolphins as a general manager. He went ahead and he dispelled those rumors in complete seriousness. And
Secretary of State that's an interesting I could see that afterwards, but not while you're the current Secretary of State. That'd be a sweet gig afterwards.
Absolutely.
You know? Or university president or a I'd like to be one of those football GMs that's eventually going to be a thing.
Oh, definitely.
You know. But interesting. So that would be, and there's a lot of talk, Miami Hurricanes, and maybe that's. I've heard people say it's good for college football when Miami's back, in the top or competitive. I've heard that about Notre Dame. It's good for college football. I think it's good for college football when Indiana's in there too.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see them Raging Cajuns in there. I'd love to see them Tigers in there. Hey, Tulane made the playoffs.
They did?
Yeah, they lost to Ole Miss.
Hey, they brought a green wave.
Yes, they did. It was the most beautiful green wave. I don't know why they call it green. Looks blue, looks brown. It's in New Orleans. So that should be an interesting game, and like to see all the joy. I like to see things that bring Americans together. That's outside of politics, and then if we allowed ourselves, we would be a lot more together on politics too. Shout out to our folks over there at csafe.com. Man, love their FRP products. Got it. I got them right. So, man, I love it. Shout out to my boy Clay too. Hey, let's go to that little operation though that we were talking about earlier in the break. The operation, and just to bring in the refugee status, the Trump administration, just to bring up everybody back up to speed, confirming that they're looking at a lot of refugee status Minnesota applications. They're reviewing this. They're re-examining it all the way from cases. This started back in mid-December, and they're specifically reviewing refugees admitted during the Biden administration, as we know by now, as unprecedented illegal immigration. And as we're seeing this story and this situation develop with the legislation that was added, the earmark that was very, very just, $1.1 million added in the midst of all this. Hey, there's reasonable questions. Now, officials, again, are saying roughly 200,000 refugee cases nationwide are subject to re-interview.
Now, would you say that appropriation was leering at the people?
Yes, it was leering at them. That's what we're learning. Get it? So, operation has already generated referrals to ICE, as you could imagine. Don't know the number. The administration described Minnesota again as ground zero for all of these fraud investigations. It is. I think there's other states and communities, because I'm telling you, I've been keeping up with this for a bit, and there was so much fraud. There's fraud on the Republican administration. There's fraud right now, okay? And it's because the federal government is too big in large part. But regardless, the type of fraud you're seeing in Minnesota is it happened across the country. There are examples all over the country of these companies or individuals that pretend to do things and get paid and all these things, and you're starting to see that develop more and more and more. Okay, but the review comes amid ongoing DHS enforcement operations in Minneapolis. And that's following a whole bunch of things that we talked about: the violent episodes, the incidents, the shootings, the riots, at the ICE buildings, the stopping the traffic, and all the silliness that grown-ups don't do. But this one right here, I think we need precision. Refugees are the most vetted category of immigrants. That is true. But vetting does not freeze reality like in time. You get what I'm saying? It's a constant change. You got to be on your toes. You can't be on your heels. Fraud can happen after admission. The representative's dropping earmarks right now, asking for more money to these fraudulent companies. You can't make this stuff up. Now, that was paused, but golly, what if it wasn't paused? It would have went through. Criminal activity can happen later. Paper claims can fall apart under scrutiny. We see all this. But re-verification is not punishment. And that's what it's being treated as. It's all it is maintenance. Think of it like that. Re-verifying is more like maintenance. PMCS your vehicle. Shout out to my military folks. All right, guys, man, I had such a great time today. Hey, check us out on rumble.com. You can give us a little follow. YouTube, at X, all the things. We certainly appreciate you. I enjoyed it. Guys, have a great weekend. Be careful out there. May God bless you and be kind.